Long ago, in the magnificent Kingdom of Eldoria, Princess Isabella lived within the towering walls of Castle Ravensmire. The people believed she had a life filled with luxury, jewels, and endless happiness. But behind her graceful smile was a lonely heart longing for freedom beyond the castle gates. Every morning, she stood on her balcony watching the royal knights train in the courtyard below. Among them was Sir Adrian, the kingdom's bravest young knight. Though born to a poor blacksmith's family, he had earned his place through courage, honor, and unwavering loyalty. Without ever speaking to him, Isabella found herself unable to look away. Unable to ignore her curiosity any longer, Isabella disguised herself as a village girl and slipped through a hidden passage beneath the castle. For the first time in years, she wandered freely through the bustling streets of Eldoria. As she admired the lively marketplace, a frightened horse suddenly broke free and charged through the crowd. Villagers screamed and scattered in every direction. Just before the horse reached her, Sir Adrian leapt forward, seized the reins, and pulled her safely into his arms. Believing she was only an ordinary village girl, he spent the rest of the afternoon walking beside her. They laughed, shared stories, and spoke about dreams neither thought could ever come true. Days turned into weeks, and the two secretly met beneath an ancient oak tree overlooking Silver Lake. They spoke for hours about freedom, family, and the future they wished they could choose for themselves. Their friendship slowly blossomed into love, although neither dared confess it aloud. Hidden among the trees, however, a mysterious hooded spy watched every meeting. After each encounter, the stranger disappeared into the darkness, carrying news that would soon reach the castle. That evening, King Edmund summoned the entire royal court. Standing before the nobles, he announced that Princess Isabella would marry Prince Victor of the neighboring Kingdom of Eldoria to unite the two kingdoms and prevent future wars. The wedding would take place in only 3 weeks. Isabella's heart shattered. That very night, she hurried to the old oak tree where Adrian was waiting. Fighting back tears, she finally whispered, "I've been hiding the truth from you. I'm Princess Isabella." Adrian stared at her in complete disbelief. Before he could speak, the sound of marching soldiers echoed through the forest. Within moments, dozens of royal guards emerged from the darkness, surrounding the two lovers with drawn swords and blazing torches. Their commander stepped forward and shouted, "Sir Adrian, by order of King Edmund, you are under arrest for treason against the crown." Isabella desperately stood between them, begging the guards to spare his life. Just as Adrian reached for his sword, a single arrow shot out from the darkness, striking the commander in the shoulder. The soldiers froze in shock. Every eye turned toward the forest, but whoever had fired the arrow had already disappeared. As panic spread through the forest, the royal guards searched desperately for the mysterious archer, but the darkness swallowed every clue. Seizing the confusion, Adrian grasped Isabella's hand and led her deep into the forest. They ran beneath the moonlight until they reached an abandoned hunter's cottage hidden high in the mountains. Save for the moment, Isabella broke down in tears. "My father will never forgive us," she whispered. Adrian gently held her hand and promised, "As long as I'm alive, no one will ever harm you." Neither of them realized a cloaked rider was quietly watching the cottage from a distant hill. Back at Castle Ravensmire, King Edmund was consumed by anger over his daughter's disappearance. He declared Sir Adrian an enemy of the kingdom and offered a generous reward for his capture. Soldiers searched every village and forest road without success. Before the search could continue, a wounded messenger burst into the throne room with devastating news. Prince Victor had betrayed Eldoria. The marriage proposal had been nothing more than a clever trap, while his army secretly crossed the border. Thousands of enemy soldiers were already marching towards the kingdom. When Adrian learned of the invasion, he stood silently beside the fireplace before making his decision. "If I continue hiding, innocent people will suffer because of me." Isabella begged him not to return, knowing the king would likely have him executed. Adrian smiled gently before placing his late father's sword into her hands. A true knight protects his kingdom, even when it no longer protects him. Before sunrise, he rode alone back to the castle. Standing before King Edmund, he knelt and laid his sword on the floor. "Your Majesty," he said, "I have not returned to ask for mercy. I have returned to defend Eldoria." Although King Edmund still doubted him, there was no greater knight in the kingdom. With the enemy army approaching the castle walls, the king reluctantly placed Adrian in command of the royal army. At sunrise, thousands of knights rode into battle beneath the banners of Eldoria. The clash of steel echoed across the valley as arrows darkened the sky. Adrian fought fearlessly through the enemy ranks until he finally confronted Prince Victor. Their swords collided again and again in a fierce duel that would decide the fate of the kingdom. After a long and exhausting battle, Adrian disarmed Prince Victor and defeated him before both armies. Watching their leader fall, the invading soldiers surrendered and retreated from Eldoria. The kingdom erupted in celebration as church bells rang across the land. Realizing his mistake, King Edmund walked towards Adrian and placed the royal medal of honor around his neck. "Today," the king declared, "you have proven that true nobility is earned through courage, not birth." Months later, beneath the same ancient oak tree where their story began, Princess Isabella and Sir Adrian exchanged their wedding vows. Their love became a legend, reminding generations that courage, sacrifice, and true love can overcome even the greatest obstacles. Follow, like, comment, and share to get more stories like this.